What is going on, everybody? It's Dukes and Bell, our executive producer, Day Day. It's behind the scenes, our pre-show. What a performance last night from our Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football. And Mike, look, we talked all day yesterday about how big potentially this win could be for the Falcons if they were able to pull it off. And not only did they pull it off, I thought it was a defensive dominant performance by the Falcons, something we haven't really talked a lot about. We've said the defense has been good, but last night they needed to be great. And I thought they did a hell of a job of shutting Josh Allen down.
Right. We talked about, do you have to be perfect to win this game? But, man, Falcons are number one in total defense, Carl, after last night. And we're second in total offense. I mean, which is hard to imagine. And we said, do we have to be perfect? But I thought everything you could ask for. One of the things we talked about yesterday, and thanks to guys who showed up. We had a great time at Signia. We did a special show with Randy Mack yesterday, 11 to 3. You were missed, Day-Day, and Abe did not wear us out. But one of the things we talked about was, you're going to have to, see some creativity from Zach Robinson, because, the Bills going to look at some of the things we've done this season, the unscouted looks. How about Wild Felipe, Carl? Speaking of imagination, getting Bijan the rock out in space. Bijan, the blocking on the play that bust for the 80-yard touchdown. I mean, that's like textbook. I mean, every offensive line high school coach would love that, Carl. So everything clicked, and you said it. The defense came up with some big plays.
Yeah, and Day-Day, I don't know if I've been this excited in a long time. I think some people, some people said temper your expectations, Dukes. I can't. We're young. We're better than expected. Our quarterback did not play great. He played okay. If he played great last night, this is a blowout, okay? So I'm not going to temper my expectations because this is what we've been waiting on. And the irony for all of the Falcon Nation is we thought it would be the offense carrying us. Guys, it's been the defense. The defense has been carrying us. Defense and Bijan. Day-Day, what'd you take away from last night?
Man, a lot. But one thing, waking up this morning, I kind of just thinking about everything that I saw last night. And I'll bring it up later in the show. So make sure you all are, tuned in at 2 to catch Dukes and Bell. But I thought to myself, Drake London, USC, Bijan Robinson, Texas, Michael Penix Jr., Washington, Jalen Walker, Georgia, James Pierce Jr., Tennessee. These young guys have come into this league, and they come in fresh off of being in atmospheres where they've been playing high-stakes football, right? So at this point, it was just a matter of getting acclimated to the speed of the NFL. But from a mindset standpoint, these guys know what it means to be in big-time situations because they've been doing it for the last 4 years. So it goes back to how we kicked off last week. There's no reason for anybody to be fearing that we're playing an upset Buffalo Bills team because these guys care nothing about that. All they really have known is playing football in these high stakes, pressure types of games. And I just thought about that this morning, and I was like, man, that was awesome to see last night. And then there was a lot of small things, Mike. Bergeron, I don't know if you got that touchdown run by Tyler Algier. Bergeron, that kick out he had on that thing, baby. I mean, there was Kyle Pitts had a great block on the run where Bijan made like 4 or 5 defenders miss. Like, there were just so many really cool things about last night's win, man.
Right. And I think the offensive line, and we talked to her about the identity. You and I brought this up during the bye week, basically bye weeks, about the identity of the Falcons. For your older Falcon fans, you remember how tough they were. Matt Ryan's early in his career, we had like Mud Duck, Todd McClure, and we had those guys like Harvey Dahl and Tyson Clabo. And to Day-Day's point about Bergeron and the kind of personality, the run game is physicality and sets it up. And I agree with what you said earlier, Carl. Not a great day for Penix. So I think we're just kind of scratching the surface. When Jalen Walker and Pierce Jr. get into that rhythm that Day-Day's talking about, we are a team which, again, whatever that was in Carolina, okay, whatever. We're one of the better teams now in the league. The Buffalo Bills, that's a huge win that I think a lot of Falcon fans would have said, I have no idea how we're going to play. I don't think in August we thought we'd win this game and almost be up by 4 touchdowns, Carl, at one point.
So here's something else that came out of last night, which is great for our city. It's great for our team. Again, thank you for being here. However you're accessing us, Twitch, Twitter Live, Instagram, YouTube. We do this every day and kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look of stuff that we're thinking about and talking about amongst ourselves. Some of it you'll see on the show or hear on the show. Some of it you won't. Everybody now knows who Bijan Robinson is. If you didn't know and you never watched him at the University of Texas, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, everybody knows who he is. What that means now is you're going to have the national pundits. I've gotten tons of calls already this morning, text messages. Hey, man, Bijan looks great. What kind of kid is he? People want to do stories on him now. People want to know more about him now. And he's an MVP candidate. I know we got a long way to go. Right. But, guys, he's putting up historical numbers through the first 6 games of the season. All of a sudden now, we're talking about a guy who's recognizable, Mike, with a brand that's exciting that people want to see. We haven't had that in a very long time.
No, he's a superstar, Day. That's the thing. You know, I said it on Twitter today. Bijan is a superstar. NBC gave him that treatment on the Vikings broadcast that Sunday night. And now, as you said it, to win, we haven't been on Monday Night Football in 7 years. And, like, again, we beat the Buffalo Bills, man. We'll talk about it because, yes, it did feel like a home game for Buffalo. We're used to that when the heritage teams come in. But we silenced those fans, Carl, to see a stream of Zubaz fans
get out of here. Get out of here.
Up north side as we were rolling out of Signia last night. It's like, hey, go enjoy that trip back upstate. It was great.
It was. I'm with you, Mike. And kudos to the Buffalo fans. They were nice. They were courteous and kind. They weren't a-holes. All right? Big shout out to Buffalo. But at the end of the day, that's the feeling we want to have 9 out of 10 times when we leave the bins. And more times than not, it's been disappointment, frustration. Why couldn't we get it done? Last night, it was all love. Everybody's walking out, Mike, singing, rise up. We're having a good time. There's nothing like that feeling when you're walking out of Mercedes-Benz. Day, let me ask you this. When I think about the top stars in this league, they're all quarterbacks. Outside of Saquon, right? Derrick Henry was in that category. Don't know what the hell's going on with Derrick Henry right now. They are not using him. The offense looks bad. No Lamar, blah, blah, blah. But it's rare that we're talking about outside of quarterbacks, guys being stars, unless they're one of these high-paid receivers. And there's only a few of those. Mike always talks about these receivers. They don't win Super Bowls. Right. These guys help you win Super Bowls because they control the clock. Is there another guy right now when you start thinking about who's better than Bijan? Seriously.
Right. No, I mean, that's why I think they literally had Saquon Barkley talking about him, on NBC. And like the Eagles, they got their own soap opera day. Now, of course, last year it came down to, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But if a quarterback doesn't have those kind of crazy numbers, and Josh will always put up decent numbers, this could be look, if he maintains the kind of pace he's on, you brought up today on social media, Carl, he could be that MVP. But this guy is driving the bus. Imagine when Penix Jr. gets a little more consistent. I think one thing we do have to, we'll talk about this today in the show. We have a wide receiver problem.
We do.
Because Casey Washington is just not a number 2. And I don't know if Mooney's going to get right. So if we don't, I wonder if we may go shopping at the deadline, maybe try to beef up that wide receiver room.
Yeah, it's a great point. And we are going to dive deeper into not only our observations, but some things that you are not aware of that came out of last night. As the Falcons beat the Bills last night. And by the way, we hold the Bills to 14 points. That's another testament to this defense. It wasn't a scratch. Look, it felt tight at the end because they had the ball, but it really wasn't. We had a 10-point lead. They were going to have to score and do the onside kick thing. There was a lot at stake there. All right, as we talk about the Falcons, it's a huge Tuesday. We're taking plenty of your phone calls today. It's starting at 2 o'clock, by the way. And by the way, we'll have Dave Archer on, analyst for the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll pick his brain on this. And we're going to talk to our man Connor Riley from Dog Nation. This is a big week for Georgia. So as much as we're going to spend today on the Falcons, and it's really our Monday coming off of a Sunday, today's Tuesday coming off of a Monday night, we're going to spend a lot of time this week on the Dogs. Now, Mike, we're headed up to Athens on Friday for another trip to our spot, the Grindhouse Killer Burgers. We'll be there Friday doing the show from 2 to 6. Ole Miss is coming in. They got a lot of swagger. Lane Kiffin beat these guys last year. He knows what it takes to beat the Dogs. It's going to be interesting. And the Dogs have revenge on their mind. I'm not saying that's a Kirby motivation, but they got their butts kicked last year.
Everybody's making memes, by the way, about this is how we clap now in the SEC. I mean, we and Day was off yesterday. We spent a lot of time talking about the craziness of that Auburn game. So for the radio audience, because we were on 11-3 yesterday before pregame, we'll talk more about that. Georgia Tech with a typical Georgia Tech, Haynes King do Haynes King stuff. Other guys did step up, and that was great. But we'll get into all the college storylines as well.
Yeah, I mean, with Georgia, I don't think it's going to help Ole Miss's case either with Lane Kiffin apparently taking jabs at Kirby and, whatever's going on with his weight there. So, You know what, man? Listen, Georgia's defense, I think I know we talk about the fact that they don't have the pass rush, but ultimately they've proven that they can settle in second halves and slow things down. The problem with Alabama is they let Alabama get out too far ahead. And it was too much of a hole for them to overcome. But they settled in second half, slowed them down. They did the same thing against Tennessee, slowed Tennessee down some in the second half, and then they shut Auburn out in the second half of last night's game. The biggest issue for Georgia, I think, still continues to be the slow starts. And again, against a team like Alabama, you just can't have these types of performances. But Ole Miss, to me, you go back and you look at who they've played so far. To me, they don't have a win that really says they're going to come into Athens and be a problem.
Yeah, look, and last week, Mike and I, and a big shout out to Randy Mack yesterday. We all had a big mashup show. It was a lot of fun down there at Signia. But Randy Mack we were talking about, you cannot look at this Ole Miss game from last weekend and go, oh, they're not any good. They were probably looking ahead. And they didn't think that opponent was that good. And then you find yourself in a game, you find a way to win. That's all that matters. They're undefeated. They're one of the top teams in the country. But they're going to have to prove it on Saturday. And this is the beauty of the SEC. And Mike and I always talk about this. Every other league, the other Power Three, okay, they don't have the consistent week in and week out challenges that you do in the SEC. So, you talk about Texas. They lose to Florida. Everybody calls it a season. They go play their rival. They blow doors. They physically beat Oklahoma up. And now everybody's going, okay, Texas is back. What happens week to week in this league is such a big deal because it's so difficult to win.
And it's parity.
So, yeah.
It's the same parity, same parity in the Big Ten. Indiana, we talked about it. Randy Mack agreed with me, Dana. He thought that Kurt Signetti really ran his mouth, but I guess you got to pump up the news, man. They're the highest ranking they've ever been. That win against Oregon was legit, and so but that doesn't mean that Oregon's a phony. To Carl's point about Texas, it's just there's so much parity. Georgia's dealing with it. Not everybody has got the deck stacked. I mean, Ohio State won convincingly. Be interesting to see, how Ohio State can they be undefeated throughout the end of the season? Maybe they're the only one based on the schedule, but it doesn't matter. Once you get in the playoffs, man, it's a bare knuckle fight.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Alabama. I mean, they barely hold on to beat Missouri. Thank God. Thank God they hit the under. Barely.
Yeah, because if Missouri goes down there and scores at the end,
it was a wrap.
Yeah, you were done.
And by the way, we'll review the picks. I think I took the sombrero, Carl. I think Carl's on the way up.
Carl went 3-0.
That's the first time this year, right?
Yeah.
So,
don't call it a comeback.
Well, it is a comeback. 0-3, and I'm trending the wrong way. So I got too cute. They busted my chops on a UNLV pick against Air Force. I know. But anyway, we'll get into that as well.
Whoa. I was out Friday. I missed that. Who'd you pick?
I took the Fighting Dan Mullins of Las Vegas Boulevard over Air Force in a nip-tuck game that was really high scoring, but they didn't cover the 6.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Shame.
Yeah,
Shame.
no, another obscure pick from Mike Bell.
Right. And we all went out. We all got burned on the Colts. The Colts won.
Yeah, man, that hurt.
And I should have bailed.
All three of you guys.
Three of us
Colts?
took the Colts against. Yeah. Yep.
I should have jumped off once Mike and Oren said they were on. I should have jumped off.
Yes. I wanted you to jump off. Either way, yeah. But Carl is trending, so he's on a heater now. Slowly but surely, starting to turn things around.
And you know what? Speaking of picks, we'll give you our official picks at the end of the week. But how in the hell is Georgia Tech a dog on the road to Duke? Like, I'm looking at this, and Mike, Vegas, right. Do they know something we don't know? Georgia Tech is looking as good as they've looked. I know they had that challenge on the road a few weeks ago, but I'm like, how are they ranked where they are and going on the road and being an underdog?
Yeah, Duke has scored a lot of points, guys. They're averaging 40 points a game in their wins over NC State, Syracuse, and Cal, and they destroyed Syracuse. So, look, this is it's a prolific offense. So I think Tech's defense will be tested. I think maybe that's where they're going with this one. But again, it's Georgia Tech on the road at noon. So there's a little bit of that Wake kind of feel, going up there to Durham.
Yeah, it's a good point. Guys, we got a lot to chop up today. Falcon fans, rise up. What a win last night. Stick your chest out, man. We got a team that can compete. And on any given Sunday, Monday night or Thursday, and next Sunday is going to be another challenge. I know the 49ers are banged up. I don't want to hear any of that BS this week. This is going to be Kyle Shanahan fighting for his life. Everybody's hurt. Fred Warner had a nasty ankle injury last Sunday. Nobody cares. They're going to show up and think that we're riding high and try to kick our ass. We got to show up on Sunday night. So we'll dive into what we saw last night, start looking ahead a little bit. We've got guests that are going to join us, guys, and we look forward to hearing from you guys. Call us. We want to talk to you today on the phones, all right? For Mike and Day Day and Big O, he's out today, but he'll be on the show with us. Make sure you guys tune in at 2 o'clock. We'll talk to you guys.